What is your nightmare online dating experience? When I just finished college, I was living in a one-bedroom townhouse. I met a guy on Plenty of Fish, and at that time I wasn't exactly smart about my online digital footprint. Not like I've really changed, but at least now I'm not as ridiculous. Anyway, he seemed like a decent guy. He was really good looking, said he had a good job, nice teeth, and looked like he cared about his personal health. All things I would typically look for in a guy. I'm not a shallow human, but I like to be presentable, and if I'm with someone I would like them to care about being presentable in a business environment also. After about a week of chatting online, we agreed to meet. We met at a restaurant downtown, which was really far from where I lived. When I got there, I noticed him standing at the door. We sat down to eat and the evening went great. At the end of the date we said bye and I got into my car and began to drive away. I realized right away that he was following me. Because of the distance to my house, I wasn't immediately scared because it's a big city, maybe he'll turn off the freeway. He didn't. My exit was coming up and I decided not to take it. I kept driving. I circled the entire city on the freeway and he stayed right behind me. I was starting to panic a bit, so I decided to go to my friend's house instead of mine, and when I pulled out the exit I noticed he didn't. So I had a little bit of a moment to breathe and decided, okay, screw it, I'll just go home. I took the off-ramp back onto the freeway and began going back to my exit. I got home and showered and was getting ready for bed, and I started feeling dumb because, like, was that really him? Am I overreacting? Do I ask him if he was following me? A number of things were racing through my overactive imagination, or so I thought. I decided I was going to message him and just say had a good time, good night, and when I started typing, all of a sudden a message came through to my phone of a picture of my car outside my house. I nearly died. My heart jumped out of my chest. I started shaking. I didn't know what to say, and he texts me and says, I didn't know you lived across the street from me. I've met my neighbors and not once have I ever met him. There's a huge apartment complex kitty corner to my townhouse, so maybe that's where he lived, I don't know. I popped up and went to look outside, and there he was, just standing there outside like he was waiting for me. I opened the door and he asked if he could come in and if I wanted to still hang out. I told him I was exhausted and I'd rather just crash out, as it had been a long day. The next morning I woke up to go to work and my windshield had been smashed, my car was keyed, and my back 2 tires were slashed. And as I was noticing the damage to my vehicle, the guy comes out of his car with 2 coffees and is like, oh, I thought I'd surprise you with a morning coffee. So again I'm like freaked out. I called the cops and reported the damage to my vehicle. This guy offered to drive me and something in my gut was like, don't get in that car, so I called my boss, told them the situation, and explained I wasn't going to be there until after the police came. This guy just hung out the whole time. When the police finally got there, this guy was acting really suspicious. He walked away and was hiding on the other side of his car. I filed the report and the police basically said, hope you have insurance, and we're on their way to leave. They pulled around the corner and all I heard was the siren on the cops' lights turn on, and the cop screamed, freeze, put your hands in the air and get down on your knees. I looked and the cops got his gun drawn at this guy and this dude on the ground getting arrested. I spoke with the cop after he got into the back and he explained he was wanted for stalking, breach of probation, assault with a deadly weapon, fraud, and aggravated assault. I was shocked. It took me a couple days to get over the hypothetical situations that could have happened. About a week later I was on my way out the door to work, and guess who was sitting in my driveway? We live in Canada, so essentially you're released on conditions until you go to jail. I told him I was late for work but that I'd call him when I was done working. I never went to work that day. I went and found a new apartment on another area of the city. I also changed my phone number and hired my friend's husband and his friends to go pack my apartment up and move it to their place for a month and then move it to my new place because I was so scared this dude would follow them while moving. So that's my horror story of the first time I used Plenty of Fish.